This is the Bible Ranger, and we are going to talk about Should Christians Prep? Part 3, Episode 20. And we want to get Christians from being unprepared to being prepared. All right, we talked about the 6 important categories, and we talked about protection, water, and food already. That was the previous video. Now we're going to talk about hygiene, medical, and energy or power. But first, I made some mistakes in the last video, and I just want to correct them, okay? I kind of did it late. I was kind of tired. For some reason, I called copper, I called it AU, which is gold, okay? This is the chemical composition for it and everything. This is gold, AU. Also, when we were talking about how to get free silver coins, and I was telling you to go to the bank and get a bunch of coins, it's the easiest way to tell is right here when you put the silver coins or the coins on the edge, the silver one will pop out at you. It looks really clear, just like that one right there. All the other ones will have an alloy of copper in it. So you can tell really quickly which ones are the silver ones. Now the pennies is the one that's going to take some work. Also, when I was talking about using the 5-gallon barrels, here I told you about the desiccants or the oxygen absorbers. Well, there's a picture of them right there. You throw several of ones in there. This particular one is oatmeal. But in here, when I was talking about this bottom picture here, I talked about putting it in its aluminum case. And I forgot to tell you that you seal it like with a curling iron or something hot. It actually seals up. So once you have it sealed up and you took the oxygen out of it, then you fold it up like this one here, and then you put the lid on it. And put some basil leaves in there, and somehow some insects get in there. It's supposed to repel them. All right, hygiene, the first one. Something like ivory soap. It is so inexpensive. You want to get a lot of that. Okay, that'll last you a long time. 1 bar of soap, I don't know, a month. Especially if, times are where you can't get that much water, you probably won't be taking 2 or 3 baths a day. So it's going to last you a little longer. There's a liquid concentrated one. I don't know if I'm saying the name right. It's called Castile soap. It's concentrated. And that's supposed to be really good too. I'm not familiar with it that much, but I have people that told me about it. Cotton swabs. You don't have to use them every day, especially in hard times. But you want to at least use them every few days, enough to, make sure you don't push them all the way in when you're pushing your wax in. Just whatever you can see with the naked eye, you can actually go ahead and cover those areas. Now, if things got really bad where your toilets cannot be used, you will use a 5-gallon bucket over here. And of course, you put some plastic bags in there. It's not only good for this, but it's good for a lot of other things. So this seat can be bought for like $20 or less. And it's very convenient. Don't forget the plastic bags. Also, toilet paper, that of course comes in handy. But I just don't understand the hysteria of people going crazy with toilet paper. I'm sure soap and water could take care of any of this. But toilet paper is always nice. Now a shovel, just in case you don't have access to a toilet that flushes, you want to bury all that bio waste. And a shovel, this is a particularly an army shovel that folds up really nicely and into this case back here. So it's really nice. And soldiers and military personnel, they dig foxholes with that. So it's very useful. So that's a pretty good one too. Now, dental hygiene. Oof, you don't want to have any problems with your teeth. Okay, here's a water pick. And a water pick is extremely useful. This is I forgot the name of it. It has a rubber tip on it, and the dentist is always talking about that. And basically, you use that one by just going to the sides of your gums, between your gums and your teeth, and that stimulates it, and it makes it healthier there. Obviously, you're gonna need some toothbrushes. Get several of them, and a lot of floss. It's extremely cheap. Also, the ones that you can actually go between your teeth. And if you have braces or some kind of device that holds your teeth from shifting, there's other things you can use also. Now, if you have a toothache, I work with somebody that once told me that a toothache is so bad that it'll make a crackhead go to the dentist. And I believe it because I had one before and it was extremely painful. And I consider myself to have high pain tolerance. But in this video, we don't have time to go through all the oils, essential oils, but there'll be another one that when we go back into the health section, we can cover them. But this one here is clove oil, which is pretty good for toothaches. There's other ones, if you can read here, a green onion, a raw green onion is good for it. You chew it up, or if you can't chew it, you can just leave it in your tooth. And that'll be good too. Oil of oregano will actually teach you how to make that. And garlic is always good. And oil pulling. Usually you use coconut oil for oil pulling and other ones. And we'll come back to that. Right now, the medical section. It's good to have a manual blood pressure cup to measure your blood pressure right here. And you need your stethoscope with it. There will be a class by a professional how to use this in the near future, okay, when we get back to the medical section. If you have an automatic one that just reads it for you, that's good, but how long until you have your batteries is how long it's going to last, so it's good to have a manual one and learn how to use it. Now, to check out your sugar level, blood sugar level, glucometer, right? It's good to have that if you have diabetes. And also, if you have diabetes, make sure that you have your insulin with your equipment, like your needles. Now, we have videos that shows how to reverse diabetes type 2 and also how to reverse your high blood pressure. So look into those, and that really helps out. But if your blood, if you're type 1 diabetes, most likely that I know of, you're going to stay with that your whole life, unless God heals you. Now, here we have a thermometer. We have a thermometer there, and we have rubbing alcohol. It's good for just about everything, right? Disinfections, and you have peroxide, hydrogen peroxide. Also, something that you might need that's not in the pictures here, anti-inflammatories like aspirin, ibuprofen. Those are good for internal inflamed body parts. For pain, also a type of Tylenol. There's other ones I just don't have the right name for it, but a type of Tylenol, not necessarily Tylenol. Topical for anti-inflammatory, hydrocorozones are good, and zinc oxide is also good. Also for if you get bit by an insect, you want some antihistamines, or you have allergies, like Benadryl type stuff, or allergy medication. All right. Now power. Now power is really important. Energy or power. This top one right here, I bought it a long time ago, and it's pretty expensive. It was over $1,000, and it's good while it lasted. I still have it, but it's difficult to change the batteries on this thing here. It was like a 15-inch of screwdriver. It wasn't really friendly for an average person to do it. So we have smaller ones like this one here, and we have a medium-sized one, which is you can pick them both up. Okay, I think this one lasts a few hours, and this one lasts double the hours. Okay, last time it was we lost power, and we ran a fan with it. And all we had was this little one here, this orange one. And the fan lasted for 4 hours. But if we had this one, the fan would have lasted, I don't know, 8 hours, 6 hours. It would have been longer. Also, when you have it, and you get yourself a solar panel here, try to get, that's a flexible one that folds up, by the way. Try to get a different adapters down here to connect the solar panel to it, because these do get energized by a generator or your house outlet. But if you're down for a while, you're going to need a solar panel to help you charge it up. Now, one of the main things that people use is a generator, which is up here. Now, a few cautions with the generator. Please don't fuel it when the engine is hot, because you put fuel on a hot engine, gasoline is extremely combustible. Okay, that's not a good thing. Now, in hard times, this is a little dangerous, but in hard times when you have no other choice and you want to power your house up with a generator, these two male plugs here, most places will not recommend it, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why, okay? When you have two male plugs here, make sure that both ends are plugged in already before you turn on the generator. The reason why, if you have only one side plugged in, one of the other sides is live. And if you touch any of those prongs, that's going to sting you. Okay, it's going to hurt an animal or sting you, and that's not going to feel good. So make sure and they stick out already. They're not internal like a female plug. It's sticking out, so anything that touches them, it's gonna be affected. Also, when you use one of these things, make sure that the main power of your house is off. They call it open. The reason why, two reasons. You don't want the power to come back on and you get this double surge of power going into your equipment and possibly damage it. Also, if you have a lineman out there that is working, this your generator feeds and goes backwards into the lines out there, and it gets boosted by the transformer, and he's getting 14,000 volts, and that's not safe for him. Okay, so make sure that your main power is off. Very important. Other things you might need. Here you have a first aid kit that has everything that fits perfectly, okay? That's kind of good to have. Also, the gauzes, you prefer them to be sterile, but if you don't have anything else, clean and wrapped individually, it's always good. You don't want infections. At the bottom here is kind of like a survival kit. It has radios, that's solar power, and has lights in it, and a bunch of other stuff. That's pretty good. That's always good to have. Also, tarps. Tarps are always great. If you catch yourself outside for some reason and you need to cover yourself, it can be a shelter. And paracord, which is parachute cord, is very strong. And that's good also for a bunch of other stuff, and also to hold down the tarp. If you notice, there's a bunch of little strings inside of it that are braided. Those strings, if you needed to actually make fire, would be good for that too. You can actually take a piece of this and make it as kind of like lint. So that's good. Now, when it comes to God, He cleans my soul from sin. That's the hygiene part. With His stripes, we are healed. And that's in Isaiah 53. And even though that verse is used for many preachers about healing, and God can heal you if he chooses to, the verse is not about healing. The verse is about the sin that we're sick with sin in our lives. And when Christ is coming, which was prophesied back then in Isaiah 53, He was going to cure us from our sin, which He did. If you accept the Lord as your Savior, you make Him Lord of your life. Now, when it comes to energy and power, the gospel of Christ is the power of God unto salvation. I love that verse. As in Romans chapter 1, verse 16. Now, before I say this, the next video is going to be a controversial video, which I do a lot of. And it's an actual Bible study, so it might take longer. But the topic is going to be, should Christians practice self-defense? And you have Christians that believe no, and you have Christians that believe yes. And we're going to talk about it. I'll give you my opinion, and I'll give you as many verses as I possibly can with as correctly interpreting them as best as I can. All right. Now, if you found this to be useful and valuable, please subscribe and thumbs up. Thank you very much. And this is the Bible Ranger, keeping the Bible simple, yet rich in content. Thank you very much.